Sometimes in life, we need a paradigm shift. If you're rich, you need to take your kids to a place to see how rough life can be. If you're poor, you need to go look at a $3 million home with a realtor. You need to go to a Ferrari dealership. You need to go to a land. I remember I used to go to a Ferrari dealership, David, and I would say, I played one game. Here's what my game was. It's a sick game I would play. I'm broke. I got nothing on my name. I'm so poor, it sucks. I'm about to go back in the army, but I would say, I want to find out if they believe I'm rich. I want to see if this Ferrari salesperson believes I can afford to buy a Ferrari. So I would go to the dealership and I would walk around. You know what I would say? Man, the guy's ignored. He doesn't even say hi. You know why? He knows I can't afford it. He feels the vibe. So a year later, I would go back in. Still doesn't talk to me. Year later, I go back in. How are you? Good. I still can't afford it, but now he believes I can't afford it. That's all that matters. So then I would go to Mulholland Drive, and I went one time to look at this $3.5 million house, open house. I walk in, said, how you doing? Good. What can you tell me about this property? And she leaves a customer and comes with me and spends 45 minutes showing the home. This is at a time that I can only probably buy a $700,000 property. But the fact that she thought and believed my aura, my energy was a character of somebody that could afford to buy a $3.5 million house, it made me believe that I'm on my way to be able to buy a $3.5 million house. So today I live in a $30 million house. Now it's a different story. But during that time, so if somebody that's driving the Uber car right now, you got to create the other kind of paradigm shifts for you.
Wow.
You got to go to a complete different environment to get yourself to say, why not me? Why not my family? Why can't I do something about it? So if you're doing Uber, you can no longer, I went on a diet of music. You know, people talking about hip hop, I don't know Lamar. The other day I was asking guys who are the top 5 rappers right now. One guy said Lil Baby's number 1. This person's number 10. They're going back and forth debating, right? You know who I know? I know up until 2003, 2002, because I went on a radio diet.
Yeah.
I've not turned on the radio since 2002.
Wow.
You tell me any R&B, if you want to play the game of R&B, I can tell you wrong. Every time I see your face, it makes me, I can tell you, Uncle Sam, I don't ever want to see you. I can go to Brian McKnight. You know, I can go to, you know, Atlantics. I can go to As Yet. I can go to, you know, anything with Tupac, anything with Biggie. I can go to one of the greatest albums of all time by DMX. I can go Mo Murda by Bone Thugs and Harmony. I think it's number 16. I can go to Blackstreet's album, tell you exactly which one is the baby making music to listen to. You know, Don't Leave Me. I can go to Usher, tell you My Way. I can go to all of that stuff. But my timeline ends at 02.
Yeah.
Because if you're an Uber driver and you're serious about your dreams, go on a radio diet for 1 year. No radio for you this year. Nothing. No radio, no Spotify. The only thing you listen to all year this year is audiobooks, if you're an Uber driver. All business, all intentional, all vision, all autobiographies. Let people inspire you. Yeah. Can the person that's listening to this right now making $50K a year saying, Pat, David, I'm ready, I'm committed. No problem. Can you go on a Spotify, on an iTunes, on a diet, nothing for an entire year? Now, when you work out, listen to your hip hop. Yeah. Fire yourself up. I listen to hit 'em up when I'm working out. I listen to my hip hop music when I'm working out because it's getting me going. But I went on a radio diet since 02 till today. I've never once listened to the radio. Oh. So those are the things that the exchanges people need to make to have a paradigm shift. And this is coming from a guy that had a 1.8 GPA in high school. Yeah. I'm not the guy that, you know, came out of a family that I'm supposed to be somebody. So that's what I would say to those folks.
Depression happens because you keep looking back. Anxiety happens because you're looking too far forward. All I'm telling you is to stay right here in the now, right? And I'm gonna give you this analogy that I love all the time, right? So I don't drive without Waze. So Waze is a navigation app, right? I don't drive without Waze because Waze, you put your address in where you want to go, and Waze already knows what's happening in the traffic sphere. And so if it's telling me to take I-20, and I know normally I would take I-285, there's a reason why Waze is telling me to take I-20, because they might be packed on I-285. And so I'm gonna listen to Waze, right? But let's say I don't listen to Waze. Let's say I go however way I wanna go. I go to I-285 and I get stuck, right? Waze is not gonna take me back where I started and tell me how to get to where I'm going. It's gonna recalculate it from where? From where I am currently, right? And so I think what people do is the people who had the bad relationships, the people who had all these bad experiences, they keep replaying this negative thing in their head. They keep trying to start over. They keep trying to backtrack and figure out, where did I go wrong? Where did I do this left turn? Why would I do this way? And then they try to reroute themselves from the past, when that don't even exist no more. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care where you from. I don't care who you know, right? There's nothing you can do to bring back the past, right? And even if you do everything that you think you're supposed to be doing, there's nothing you can do to control the future. And so I just live in day-tight compartments. I'm telling every single person that hears the sound of my voice, I need you to live in day-tight compartments. What does that mean? That means, where do you want to go? Don't tell me about what happened in the past. Don't tell me about what mistakes I don't care about none of that. Right now, today, where do you want to go? Put in that destination and just move in day-tight compartments. Why is that, right? Because at the end of the day, even when tomorrow comes, it's still today. Mm-hmm. And so if all you do is the best that you could do today, everything else is going to work out. You know what I'm saying? And I also believe, again, I said I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. It's about awareness. Right? You get what you are aware of, right? There are people right now, as we speak, who are aware of how many jobs have been lost. They're aware about how many, how bad the economy looks and the outlook. They're aware of that, right? They focus on that. They focus on how many people died from COVID. They're aware. And guess what happens? They're stuck in doom and gloom because their awareness of that. Then there's another side of people who are aware of how many millionaires were made during this time. They're aware about all the great opportunities that exist right now. They are aware that this is the best time to be alive because there's a wealth transfer happening right now. They're aware of that. And that awareness is what's allowing some people to crush it. I'm talking about crush. Yo, I had a friend call me and said, yo, Ash, yo, I'm $18,000 away from having $1 million in my account. He said, yo, I'm 18,000. Yo, in the pandemic. He said, yo, and this is a business that he didn't even have pre-pandemic, right? And so there are people who are killing it, who are crushing it.
100%.
But it's about awareness, though. And so for the person, right, what Henry Ford says, so, there's those who think they can and those who think they can't, and they both right.
100%.
And so there are people right now, and honestly, it's not even my job to convince those people, right? I'm not in that business. I'm not in the business of trying to convince people that if you focus on doom and gloom, you'll get doom and gloom. If you focus on abundance, you'll get abundance. What my job is to display God, right? Greatness on display. And so the way I teach is I show you. Yeah. I don't gotta tell you. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna say, yo, right? Like, as we speak, I got 3 television deals, bro. Like, as we speak. Right? Like during the pandemic, these companies are reaching out. They like, yo, we want you on television. I wrote that 12 years ago though too. It's in the book. Go to Mind Right Money Right Tillers of Financial Freedom, page 48. I wrote that 12 years ago, right? And how did those opportunities come? Because I'm aware that abundance is my birthright. I don't accept nothing else. I don't hear you. If somebody's talking about doom and gloom, I don't understand that. Me no speak it. I don't speak that language.
I love it.
And so I would tell anybody who's having that, and it's not me poking fun at it. It's not me making light of it. It's reality. Yeah. Reality is what you focus on. Period. Right? If you're sick and you're focusing on your sickness, you're not gonna get healthy.
Yeah, 100%.
If you broke and you focusing on being broke, you're not gonna get wealthy. You need to focus on what you want. Yeah. If you sick, focus on wellness. Don't hang out other sick people. If you sick, stop hanging around sick people. Yeah. If you sick, go find some healthy people, some people who are working out, some people who are healthy, vibrant. Hang out with them. Don't go to a nursing home and see a 70-year-old who's on their deathbed. Watch a 70-year-old who's doing pull-ups. Yeah. Right? Because now you're like, wait, hold on. All right, so all right, let me move in that faction. Yeah. If you broke right now, stop hanging around with people who broke. Start hanging out with dudes that are making it happen. Dudes that don't make no excuses. Dudes who are, you know what I'm saying? And because the awareness of that, how can I unsee that? Yeah. How can my man hit me and tell me he's $18,000 away from being a millionaire, having $1 million cash cash money in his account. I can't unsee that. I can't unhear that.
Yeah.
When somebody tell me, they did 100 bands in a month, 100 bands in 2 days, I can't unhear that.
Right.
Yeah, the excitement of starting something.
Oh God.
I remember I was on the phone with Kendall. We started this business, and I was like, "Yo, this is all I'm gonna be doing."
Yeah, no.
Kendall's like, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
I was like locked in because it was so intriguing. I'm like, "Yo, we need this business model for everything." I'm like, "Yo, I'm just gonna drop all the stuff I'm doing. I'm locking in on that." He was like, you go do some other stuff. This ain't about to be your biggest focus."
Bro, if you remember, we had a conversation one day, and I said to you, I said, "Don't worry about this. I'll take that. You go do what you were doing." And it was this that you were building. I said, because I see that's where your greatest energy is right now. And go do it. We just didn't have the right support people. Because I'm like you, I'm looking for the next thing. But anytime you decide to start something and it energizes you, if you choose to sustain it and to scale it, you have to put the right pieces and the right automation around it so it can still be sustainable and become active passive revenue.
active passive revenue.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Yes. So this is me. There's active revenue. That's where you are actively engaged in generating this money. Then there's passive revenue. I buy the crib. I put you in it. You pay me rent. Every now and then I got to send somebody over to fix something, but that's a property management company. So now I'm getting passive revenue. I buy a dividend stock. Every quarter, every month, I'm getting something back. That's passive revenue. I ain't doing nothing. But then you have active passive. I start a company. I get the company up and moving. I put a team in place to run the company. I may show up 10 to 15 to 20% of the time or as needed. I'm active, but I'm not as active. And so it's active passive revenue.
Got it.
Yeah. But you got to determine that up front. So if you and I were the joint we were doing, if we said up front, yo, we know us. We're going to get this thing started. And while we're building it, we're going to put the right people and the right pieces in place so that after we lose this energy and we see that next shiny bullet, we can go get it and still have active passive revenue.
But that's crazy because it's going to take a lot of maturity and transparency and knowing yourself to say, I'm not going to be in this. No, I know how I feel right now, but I know my pattern.
But watch this. This is the great thing about business and entrepreneurship. And you know this. It's a roller coaster, but you don't know what you need until you get in the game and start playing.
Yeah.
It's like we coach. You got people. I'm going to give you a play. Here's the play. Most people you get a play to, guess what they're going to do?
Fumble the ball.
They ain't even going to get in the game and play.
Right.
Forget the fumble.
Right.
They're going to take it and be like, yo, that was good. And then 9 times out of 10, it's just going to sit there or they're going to wait for another play because they just love getting plays. Then there are some people that are going to, Coach Dave is going to give them a play. Then they're going to go to the assistant. Then the other assistant, they're going to get all these plays and they're going to get confused. The people that are successful are the people that take the play and go run it and fumble the ball. And here's the crazy thing. You can give me a play and you can give somebody else a play. Same play. But the way I run it may not work for me because he's faster and stronger. I might not be as fast. So I got to be mature enough to say, yo, let me run the play. But what is life? What is the market? What is the defense bringing at me? And can I be a creative?
Classes and there's trainings and there's some amazing acting coaches across the country. Absolutely. But acting is constantly self-developing. Like I am constantly asking myself, why did I get mad when that lady said that to me at the grocery store today? Why did this affect me when my husband said such and such to me today? And I write it down. Well, this made me feel invalidated when he said this.
Really?
Or this made me feel left out when I saw them all go to lunch and I wasn't invited. I write these things down because it's helping me develop as a person. And the more developed you are as a real person in real life, the more developed you can develop a character. A character is just something written on a piece of paper. You have to make that person on a piece of paper a real human being. How can you do that? A human being has a favorite color. They have a favorite drink. They have a favorite food. Did they go to college? Did they come from a 2-parent household? Were they molested as a child? Did they get a college degree? Did they have siblings? You have to make all these things up. And the best way to do that is by living real life and identifying why you feel the way you feel when real life is happening. Those are called tools. And the more tools you have in your real life, the more tools you can bring to this character that's written down on a piece of paper. You got to make that person real. You know what I mean?
What's the prep work like for a character? What's that prep?
Finding this character's objective, their why, their need. What does this character want? Say this character wants love, right? This whole script, the whole thing is about her wanting love. I have to then find in my life where I want love and who I want it from and why I want it from them and how it makes me feel and how it makes me feel when I feel like I'm not getting it. And all those tools that I have in my real life, I can now bring it to this character who just wants love. But if you've never done that work in real life and you don't know why David wants love, you don't know who loves David the most, you don't know who you need love from the most. If you've never done this development in real life, it's going to be real hard to bring it to a fake character that's written down on a piece of paper.
And it shows up on screen.
And that's why there's good actors and there's actors who are not so great. Y'all do not watch the movie where you're like, I do not believe this performance. And it's probably because this person is not developed in real life. What work is this person doing in real life is what we need to be asking. But then there's performances you see on screen and you're like, wow. Yeah. You're like, I've got chills watching this. Jesus. When you watch Viola, that snot is coming from a real place, baby.
Yo.
What?
Yo, Viola. Have you ever met her?
No, I'm hoping to work with her. Putting that out there. Let's go ahead and manifest that.
It is so amazing to watch her.
Gee, she's so good.
And now, even through this conversation, my initial thought is, wow, she's a good actress.
I bet you she's the most developed person in real life. She knows who she is. She knows why she is that way. She knows what makes her tick, what makes her need, what makes her want, what makes her desire. She knows her insecurity. She knows her lack. She knows her abundance. She knows her in and out. And that's why she's able to do that to a character.
Yeah, I was at my man crib. He told me the 1.1 million on Black Friday.
Yep. Yeah.
I can't unsee it.
can't.
And he showed me the phone. I won't put his business on. He showed me the phone with the dates.
Yeah.
I said, I can't unsee it.
Can't unsee it.
And now I know it's possible.
Absolutely. That's it.
He's not much taller than me.
Right.
I don't know if he's much better speaker than me.
Right.
I believe if you cut his arm, he'll probably bleed red like me.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's possible now.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
You feel me?
Without a doubt.
All right, so I need to know your first lessons in money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you are around the money.
Yep.
Right? And you're understanding how it works. And you're seeing the overdraft fees.
Yeah.
What was your first lesson in money as a 19-year-old?
Yeah, first lesson in money is that we got to stop working hard for money. Money needs to work hard for us, right? Because most of the people who I knew who had the overdraft fees, who were struggling, were the people who worked, right? They exchanged time for money, their physical labor for money. The people who were living it up, the clients that had time to kick back at my desk and just shoot the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like those clients, they were bosses. They owned something. They created something that keep paying them over and over, right? They had employees, or they were, the landlords who bought the property and the tenants were paying them. Like every single one of the folks that I knew that were wealthy had an asset, and the asset paid for the things, not their labor. And so I said, you know what? I got to stop working hard for money. I got to figure out, how do I get some assets, right? Because here's the deal. There are 4 types of people on this earth. You got consumers, producers, investors, and philanthropists.
Consumers, producers, investors, and philanthropists. Okay, talk to me.
What happens is most people are only consumers, right? They make money, they consume. They make money, they consume. And what are they doing? They're stopping the cycle of money, right? Money's supposed to circulate. And what happens is that as consumers, they're just consuming, and now they have to work again to make some money. But what if you were a consumer and a producer? Now you consume, but now you're producing something. And as you produce, you're now putting that thing out to sell, and now people are paying you for it. If you're investing, right, now you take that money and you're investing in something, that investment is paying you back. If you're a philanthropist, you're giving to something that you love. Universal law, the more you give, the more you get. So now you become all 4 people, you're truly financially free. Because not only does the money come in, I consume, I produce, I invest, I give away, and from those other 3 buckets, things are coming back to me. From being a producer, I get stuff back. From being an investor, I get money back. From being a philanthropist, I get opportunities and things back. right? And so my first lesson was like, yo, we got to stop working hard for money. We got to change that relationship.
When did it, can you pinpoint the moment you're sitting across the desk from somebody and it's like, yo, kind of like the moment where you saw my man, he's walking around. It's a certain way he walked. Jim Rohn said, said, maybe it's the walk.
Yeah.
You need to get your walk down. You know what I'm saying? So do you remember like the situation or the person that you talked to and you was like, yo, I got it?
Yeah, so for me, I was a private banker. Before I became a branch manager, I was a private banker. So I worked with the mass affluent, which means that you had to have $250,000 in investable assets, and I had a book of business of 400 clients. My most wealthiest clients were worth $22 million. I think going through that book of business and realizing, you know, I had some doctors, you know, that were part of my book, you know, my portfolio. They weren't wealthy, right? Because those were the ones that were asking me for deals and trying to figure out how I get them better mortgage rate, or, you know, they were the ones I was speaking to all the time, right? And so I realized that even from a high level, right, a lot of these doctors were pulling six figures. They were making a lot of money, but they worked for money still. Right, and that's the biggest thing I want y'all to realize too, is that it's not about the amount of money. There's somebody right now who makes $1 million who is still living check to check.
100%.
There's somebody right now, as we speak.
Make $1 million, spend $1 million.
Exactly.
In one.
Exactly. And they're living check to check. And so it wasn't until, I won't say his name, but it was a Jewish guy who owned a chain of like streetwear, urban wear. He was my $22 million client. And I don't know, maybe I was, you know, I'm a nice guy, like to hang out with me. He would just call me to his office and we would hang out. He would take me to lunch, right? And I realized, like,
you were his banker.
I'm his
and
banker.
He would just call you over.
Yeah, he would just call me over, like, hey, it wasn't even bank stuff. Like, yo, just hang out. You know what I'm saying? And I realized, I'm like, yo, this dude is living the life. I see your accounts. I know what you pulling in, and you just chilling. And so it was at that point that I realized, like, how is he chilling? Is because he owns, and that's the other thing. A lot of times it was actually a different chain of urban wear that in my mind I thought they were competitors, and he owned both of them. He owned both, right? And I think at that moment I realized, like, yo, it's about ownership. Until you own your own, you can't be free. And then for me, it started to really click that, all right, you know, it's time to get into ownership business, because the other thing too is that if you work for money, you can't duplicate yourself, right? And so the amount of money that you can make is finite, right? Like you know, you can't make $1 million if you work a job that's paying you $50,000 a year. It's just not possible. But if you own some stuff, you can, right? If you own a business and you hire people, you can. If you own a digital property, you can. If you own a physical property that you could sell over and over. I wrote my book in 2009. I still get paid from that every single year, right? Every single month, actually, right? So it's really about, like, what are you doing, right? What kind of assets you own? And I think that was the beginning of it for me. It wasn't, I wouldn't say that particular, that particular event was, when I got it, because there was still some trial and error, right? And so a lot of people who might be listening to this now might say, wow, you making it, it seems easy. You're making it sound so easy. I'm telling you my truth from where I am right now, right? But, there was some unlearning, right? There was some unlearning that had to happen because, I grew up in a household that say, work hard, get a good job, retire when you're 60. So I had to uncondition that. I remember the first time that I decided to quit my 6-figure banking job to be an entrepreneur. My mother, God rest her soul, like, she almost attacked me. She was like, boy, are you crazy? You got one of the best jobs. You the boss. I wasn't really the boss. I reported to somebody. I was just following orders. I was just the face. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's looking at me. Everybody's proud of me. Right? I'm from 129th Street and 8th Avenue. I'm from the projects. People are looking like, yo, this kid that used to play the corners is now the manager of a bank, right? I don't know if Chase still does it, but when you walk into Chase Bank, you see a big picture of the person. You got their face and their name underneath, right? Somebody walk into the bank, people will show off like, yo, come here, let me show you my mans. That's my mans. Let me show you. You know what I'm saying? They were proud, but I felt like I was selling my soul because I knew it was more. And so the first time I jumped out and, you know, decided to quit and, you know, become an entrepreneur.
How old were you?
I was about to turn 30, so I was 29. Yeah, I was 29. Actually, funny thing is that I actually threw myself a retirement party. Right, so I was like, yo, I'm about to do this. You know what I'm saying? I was about to turn 30. You know, I had a retirement party at the 40/40 Club, and I decided that I was going to jump out the window and become an entrepreneur. And I fell on my face though too. So I'm not so in full disclosure, I became a homeowner. I bought my first home. My wife and I when I was 25 years old. Right,
while you were working at the bank.
While I was working at the bank. And so when I decided to leave banking and become an entrepreneur, I was already used to a six-figure lifestyle, right? My first year, I wrote the book. I was on Hot 97. I was, Black Enterprise, Essence. I was doing my thing.
Before we get there,
Yeah.
So you were at the bank for how long?
So from 2000 to so when I was about 9 years.
About 9 years.
Yeah, but I had to jump back in though. Yeah.
Oh, so you left and went back?
Yeah, so that's what I was.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
I got you.
Right?
Hold on, but before you get there, so were you making some money moves before you left?
No. Yeah.
What led up to okay, I'm going to leave?
Yeah, so so the thing is, so here's the deal, right? I was making a lot of money, but I was still flashy, right? I was still trying to, I'll be honest, I was trying to keep up with the drug dealers. So I was still hanging out with the guys, you know what I'm saying? We was going to the clubs, you know what I'm saying? I remember my first car was a Dodge Intrepid, right? I had the gold Dodge Intrepid with the if you know, you know. I had the gold Dodge Intrepid with the rims. You know what I'm saying? I had the rims, I had the tints, I was killing it, right? Always fresh, going to the club, Mars 2112, all everything. You know what I'm saying? And so I was spending a lot of money. And so when I decided to quit, I really thought that fame equals money, though, right? Because I was never an entrepreneur. I was a 9-to-5 guy. And for some reason, I just thought that if everybody knew who I was, then I would just, the money would come with it. And so when I wrote my first book, I was still working at the bank. I was, grinding it out. I got some big placements, some, Hot 97, Black Enterprise, Essence. And one of my bosses came to me one day. They knew I was writing a book, but they didn't know at what magnitude. And somehow somebody, I don't know who, but somebody showed them my website. Right. He comes to me and says, "Yo, is this you?" I said, "Yeah, it's me," because my name is Ash Exantis, right? But I wrote under Ash Cash, and so if you don't know, you don't know. And so it was an ego thing that made me quit, because he was like, "Well, how are you gonna focus on what you got to do here at the bank, and you're on Hot 97?" Like, he was making it seem like that he thought the success would go to my head. So I said, "You know what? I quit." You know what I'm saying?
So success did go to your head, actually.
It did, absolutely. He was absolutely right.
Man was right.
He was absolutely right. Because I quit. I threw myself a retirement party. I started grinding it out. My first year as an entrepreneur, I probably made about 50, 60 grand.
Doing what?
Speaking, writing books. So it was mainly from the, on the speaking circuit. I got a contract with ACS, which is like the children's services, teaching financial literacy to kids who were out of foster care. And so I was getting good contracts. I was getting good speaking engagements. I was good. I was selling, decent amount of books, but it wasn't enough to sustain my lifestyle, because I had already created this lifestyle that was $100,000 lifestyle. And so I almost went into foreclosure. Right, I had to put my house up for a short sale. The embarrassment, what I'm saying, of my neighbors, coming looking at me and saying, "Yo, I saw your house listed on the foreclosure list. Like, Ash, what's going on?" Right, and mind you,
I'm teaching about money.
Right, mind you, I'm teaching about money, and I'm on the radio, and I'm on television, and I'm in magazines.
Oh, that hurts.
All bad. Right, and so for me, that made me realize, like, yo, you gotta change this stuff up, and it was really at that moment where I started to really say, all right, now I gotta stop working hard for money.
What about the people who they understand that mindset, and they're kind of like the information junkie, right? I mean, they're listening to every podcast, they're listening to you, but they don't actually do the stuff that you're saying do. Like, how do we break out of, okay, I know the right thing to do is to inject myself with good information, but I can't seem to do anything?
You know, let's say these guys have kids, okay? Let's say you, I don't know anybody that I've met in my life who doesn't watch a movie with dreams, whether it's Rocky IV, whether it's Gladiator, the story of redemption, or even maybe a little bit of revenge, or you watch Lean on Me, I think by, who's in it? Morgan Freeman, is that the one that I'm saying, Lean on Me, and you're seeing the pride of a teacher, principal that comes in that wants to change the culture of a place, or A Pursuit of Happiness, or you watch any of these movies where somebody goes from being a nobody to having their dreams become a reality. I've watched Rocky IV a couple hundred times, right? Something happens to us because we, for a split second, believe one day I want that to happen to me. What if that happens to my life? Great. For the person that doesn't take any action and is just kind of sitting there living a regular life, there's nothing worse than being forgotten about. When I was studying for my Series 7, I would go to Forest Lawn, and I studied for my Series 7 right next to my grandma's plot. So her plot is right there. She had just passed away, so I'm studying my Dearborn yellow book, and I'm going through this whole thing, and I'm studying right there. It's outside. And when I would take a break, and I would leave my stuff, I'd go for a walk. And I would walk past different plots, and I would say, born 1962, dead 2001. Born 1954, dead 1988. Yeah, I don't know that name. Yeah, I don't know that name. Yeah, I don't know that name. Don't know that name. And all of a sudden, like, wow, who is this guy? Wow, that's his plot? That's crazy. Interesting. Then I go to, and I would Google the names. Yep, I don't know that name. I don't know that name. I don't know that name. You know what it's like to go into a room and no one notices you? You ever seen the movie Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Where he's thinking the kid is dead and then he realizes he's the one that's dead, that he's trying to play the role. It's a very weird twist. Imagine nobody notices you. Imagine you disappear. Imagine the day you die, 42 people show up to your funeral. A year later, maybe your mom shows up. Maybe one of your kids show up. 5 years later, you're in heaven looking down saying, how come none of you guys are coming back to my plot anymore? What happened? Didn't I do something good with my life? How come you're not coming back to visit? For the person that's not doing anything with their lives, I tell you, there's a lot of different pains in life. You do not want to be the name of somebody that's forgotten, irrelevant, or left behind. It is the most depressing, difficult places to be, and you and I have a choice to do something about it. So unless if somebody listens to this and they say, I don't care about that, no problem. There's certain people that are like, you know what, I really don't care about that. But I think even half of the people that say, I don't really care about that, they do. It's their cop-out. It's the way to avoid the responsibility. It's the way to not have to do the work. It's the way to say, well, this is why I'm not winning, and I have an excuse, but you don't. This is why X, Y, Z. But almost everyone I know has some kind of dreams. It's on them to have the courage to want to change and do something about it. Yeah. But that part, you and I can't do nothing about, man. They got to do it.
Yeah. I remember working at the Cheesecake Factory, and I remember saying to myself that I don't really need to have, like, I think my friend was talking about like all the stuff that they want to have and a, big, 10-bedroom house and things of that nature. And I was like, I don't really need all that. And I said, I think somehow we were talking about like hitting the lottery. And I said, well, if I hit the lottery, I would just still work here because I don't really need the money, right? I realized that wasn't the truth, but I did convince myself because I remember feeling that like success is this gated community where you have to like know somebody to let you in. I just couldn't understand how I was going to become successful. That's why I resonate like with this audience that we're talking to right now so much, because they want it, they just don't know what to do next.
Well, I relate to as well, but I don't relate to excuses. I just don't. I have a very, very hard time relating to people that, I'll give you an idea. Think about this question here. What would you say are the ugliest qualities you've ever met? People have different kind of ugly qualities.
Selfishness.
Selfishness. Okay, so you think selfishness is the ugliest one. I think there's uglier than selfish, because I think you're also selfish. I think I'm also selfish. I think our kids are selfish. I think pastors are selfish. I think Michael Jordan, he was definitely selfish, right? And, it benefited the people on his team. Yeah. But there is a definition of selfish, right? What else would you say is the ugliest? So we got selfish quality as one of them.
Jealousy?
Jealousy. What else? I don't disagree. What else?
Hate.
What else?
Ugliest qualities.
So selfish, jealousy, hate. What else?
I don't know what to call
Let
it.
me rephrase it. How about unattractive? Where you're like, oh, that energy is just very unattractive.
Yeah.
What would you say it is?
I really get rubbed the wrong way by like heavy arrogance, like when someone comes around and talks about themselves as if they are like bigger than everyone else. And yeah, just negativity.
Okay. So I will say for me, unattractive is helpless, very unattractive. Blame, very unattractive. Guilt, putting guilt on others, very unattractive. What else can I tell you? Always feeling sorry, self-pity, super unattractive. I once read a book called Power versus Force. And I read this book 20 years ago, and it talks about the different levels of consciousness, okay? From the lowest to the highest. So level of consciousness, Power versus Force. I read this book 20 years ago, and he explains the different levels from the lowest level to the highest one. So right in the middle is when life flips to us actually having power versus we're forcing it. The lowest level of consciousness I think he talks about is apathy or grief, guilt, and those are the lowest level. And then there's desire, there's anger, and anger is the highest of the worst level, meaning like it's actually better than grief, apathy, all of that. And then after anger comes courage. Courage is, I have the courage to fail. You have the courage to start a podcast with 250,000 of subscribers and somebody comments and says, David, you suck. I don't like your interview style. Or you know what, David, I can't believe you had this guest, Patrick Bet-David, on. Why would you do that? Or why would you say capitalism works? You understand how hard life is? That's a risk you're taking. When you make a video, some people come after you. You're not going to get 100% positive comments, but you have the courage to say, look, at least I'm creating something, right? Then after courage comes neutrality, where you're willing to kind of see both sides. They may be off order, but then it goes to acceptance. I'm willing to accept you for who you are. It's totally fine. We're different. You're willing to accept me. Then it becomes willingness. I'm willing to work with you. Then reason. Why don't we reason together? See if we can reason. So there's these levels. All the way at the top is enlightenment, which we're not going to get to. That's Jesus. He's talking about like people who are extreme high spiritual leaders. Then it's joy. Then it's love. Then it's happy. Okay, so you're working with these levels. For somebody you're saying your friend who was, you know, I don't care if I ever win the lotto, I'm still doing the same job. That's what I'm going to be doing, right? Okay, well, things change later on. You know, people have to just realize and identify for themselves what qualities are ugly. So if I'm talking victimhood language always, but you don't understand how I grew up, oh my God. I can guarantee you there's millions of stories of people that had a harder life than you that would exchange their problems with you. But you know what I've gone through? You don't know what it was like for me to grow up in LA. You don't know what it was like for me to do this. You know why I know that language very well? Because that was me until 18 years old.
Till 18?
Till 18 years old.
When the light switched?
Because for me, I grew up in a family where my mother's side, they were communists. My dad's side were imperialists. And my mother's side, they always blamed and they always were like, but no, we're never going to be rich. Like I remember one time I was 14 years old.
Real quick, imperialist.
Communist.
Can you explain those?
Yes, imperialism is like, UK, you know, where there's a king, there's a queen. Right. Iran, there was an imperialism. And my mother was more, because they escaped from Russia, her family did, so they read Communist Manifesto. So they believe rich people are bad people. They believe rich people are greedy. They believe rich people to take their money and should give it to other people and all this other stuff, right? So I'm this kid growing up and I'm like, oh my God, these rich people suck. And I had an uncle, his name was Luther Al-Khasseh, who just passed away a couple of years ago. You know, I always thought this was a bad guy. And I'm like, man, I'd go, I'm like, why is this guy such a bad guy? And then every summer, my dad would take me to his house once a year. He lived right next to Snoop in Upland, off of San Antonio. He had a 7,200 square foot house. He always had a blue Cadillac, the real cool Cadillacs, and a Jaguar. He was a Jaguar guy. basketball court in the back, swimming pool, nice office, beautiful kitchen that would always be there. And I would say, if he's such a bad guy, why do all his kids love him? If he's such a bad guy, why do his in-laws love him? Why do his son-in-law married to his daughter, why do all these, if he's such a bad guy, why is every time I go on Sunday, 50, 60 people there and they're all laughing, having a good time, he's cooking for people, and he was successful, he was this, he was that. So I'm like, I don't know, Mom, I don't know if I know this. And I remember one time I came home, I said, Mom, are we Democrats or Republicans? I was 14 years old. And the teacher's talking about politics. I said, are we Democrats or Republicans? She says, we're Democrats. I said, cool, we're Democrats. I said, can I ask you why we're Democrats? She said, because Democrats are for the poor, Republicans are for the rich. I said to my mom, you know what I told my mom?
What's that?
I said, Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a Republican.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah,
though?
absolutely.
I have no clue what Republican
Right, I
means.
just want to make money.
I'm just sick and tired of being poor and having people constantly feel sorry for me. Do you know when people bring stuff for you for Thanksgiving, they bring it once, thank you, because you're poor. They bring it twice. By the third time, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. It's an unattractive quality. I don't want you to look, you know the look when somebody looks at you with the feeling sorry look? I don't like that look. I don't think people should like that look. I think maybe a little bit for a season that you're going through tough times. But if it's every year, now you're feeding into it. Now you're believing it. Now your kids are starting to believe maybe we are victims. We're not victims.
It's a constant homework working on you. And I love the work. And I think we all should fall in love with the work of us. It's ugly, raw, nasty, but beautiful homework is working on you and finding out why you are the way you are. Because you can only evolve and be better by identifying the source and identifying the roots. Otherwise, you're just around here pretending and you're wearing makeup. It's like, oh, yes, I'm so developed and I'm so confident. No, you're not. You haven't even did the work, babe. What's the root? What's the source of all that trauma? Do you even know what your trauma is? Most people don't even know what their trauma is because they've buried it so deep. They put so much makeup on the trauma that you forgot that you were molested. You forgot that you were abandoned. You forgot that you had those mommy issues. You forgot that you had that middle child syndrome, feeling left out. You forgot because you buried it so deep. You've never faced it. You've never confronted it. Whereas me as an actor, I'm confronting my stuff every day because it gives me tools as an actor, it gives me tools as a producer, and it gives me tools to be the best version of me that I can possibly be.
Is burying it such a bad thing, though?
It is.
Why?
There's several reasons why. Let's talk about a few. You're a ticking time bomb, for one. It's cool to be like, oh, nothing bothers me. I'm cool. I'm collective. Yeah, I don't really go up or down. Now, one day that's going to come and someone's going to push a button, and that button is going to make you explode.
Do we know that to be true?
Could be. Or maybe you're just not. Maybe you're just going to go through life easy kilter, and it's just going to all be good, and you're never going to blow up. You're never going to have a moment. You're never going to have an episode. Or you're going to bust somebody upside the head one day when they... It's going to be that one day where you're just going to bust somebody upside... And you're like, where did that come from? Yeah, all that trauma you buried, babe. You never faced it.
I'm trying to think back about my trauma. And you're right. It's been buried. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So much so. Mm-hmm. I know I've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't remember.
Yeah. Trauma memory loss. I suffer from that too. It's whole years you just blocked out. It's whole eras of your life you just blocked out. Trauma memory loss, it's a thing.
But why do the work to go find the stuff that hurts us?
Because sometimes the things that hurt you are the single ingredient that's going to make you the best version of you. I wouldn't know why I'm bossy and I'm controlling and I'm this and I'm that if I didn't go discover why I am that way. Otherwise, people just think, oh, she's just controlling and she's just too bossy. But when they understand why and they understand the journey, they're like, oh, I see why. Okay. Actually, no, I may suffer from a little bit of that too. It's probably why I'm the way I am. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like when you start doing that work, you give grace to yourself and you give grace to other people because you understand we've all been through something. And there's a level of grace that comes with doing that work for you and for others that you're able to carry. Mm-hmm. And it's like It's just life changing.
Yeah.
And it elevates you. I'm telling you, I'm different. I am a different person. Yeah. I am different. I operate in such a level of truth and transparency that people wish they had, and they'll probably never get it because no one wants to do this work.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, on the other side of doing that work, you're the best version of you, that you attract the husband, the wife, the dream car, the dream house, the dream job. When you're the best version of you, I live in abundance. Literally, I live in abundance.
I used to tell people, I had a conversation with somebody the other day. They lost their niece to suicide. And I was on the phone with him, and he was like, Coach, I noticed, I didn't call about this, but I'm still feeling a type of way. And he broke down about the niece and the suicide. Now, in the past, before I got to this season of my life, I would say, yo, don't let the way you feel affect the way you flow. Get up and go get it. But as a mature man, and because I've experienced that type of feeling, I say, yo, allow yourself time to grieve and feel the hurt. Otherwise, that anxiety is going to affect not just your business, but it's going to affect you. And the one thing that affects everything is you.
But hold on. When you said take some time to feel the hurt, I don't understand.
So what we'll do is we'll say, yo, I'm grieving, I'm going through something, and we'll find something to mask, a drink, hang out with the people, something to take our mind off of it. But I told him to sit in that thing, cry. You know, you cry so much at a certain point, you get tired of crying.
Mhm.
You have moments, I have these moments, and if anybody else can relate to this, please don't make me sound crazy. I have moments where I'll wake up some days and I'll put my gospel playlist on, and literally I'll just be crying, just thinking about different things, happy thoughts, sad thoughts.
Really?
Oh, bro, I'll just start crying until a certain point where it's like, all right, let me put this Jay-Z on. And it's a complete. And so when you allow yourself, like, there's a reason why I felt that way, why I put that song on and run it on repeat. Once I allowed myself the time to feel it, then I came back to another space and it's like, yo, I want another feeling. I got this, boom. So I was telling my man, allow yourself time to go through it. Sit in that thing, fully embrace it, cry your eyes out. You're going to get tired of crying. And it's only at that point where you can get up and go back to work and do the things that you want to do.
Yo, I don't know. So it still sounds so foreign to me because like I don't know how to sit in some pain.
Why?
I don't know how because it feels weird. I've tried it. I maybe haven't studied my feelings like that, but it's like I envy that kind of stuff. You can sit there for a little while, muster up some feelings, and cry.
No, not like that. If I wake up and I'm feeling, the other day, I was in the car and I just felt a certain way. I put on a specific song. I got one better. Just Father's Day just passed. I ain't never heard my uncle say he loved me. I know he does. He taught me how to ride my first bike, taught me how to play basketball. When I was young, everywhere he was with his wife at the time, I was. Kept me, took me on vacation. I'm talking about, and I look like him. I used to ask my mother.
How about keep it real? Keep it real with your boy.
So he called me, I'm moving. No question. So I get there, we got there about 1 a.m. and flight delays and everything. Get there, he comes down, and hugs me, but a hug I ain't never felt before, the extra hug. On the way down, I'm telling my wife, like, yo, this man has been a major influence in my life and I love him to death. Go through the whole weekend. I spent all day Sunday with him. I only went there and I stayed at the crib.
Right.
We go to leave. As we're leaving, I get a hug and like a little hookup on the cheek. This don't happen in my family. And I get in the car and I just started crying. And my wife was like, what's going on? Like that feeling of love from a man that I love like a father. I allowed myself to go through the tears. And then 5 minutes later, I put on Jay.
But like even before we get there, so when the situation happened with my mom, I did cry, but I did not have an experience of like sitting in it. Because my mind automatically goes to, and this may be a gift of mine.
Yeah, that's good.
I automatically lean into the fact that God saw it fit for me to have my wife and my daughters.
That's phenomenal.
So I'm not really though, because I want to feel that. Like every time I feel like there's a movie on, I'm like, ooh, hold on, what's that? You know when at the end of the movie, right when the thing happens that's drawing the emotion. What was the movie with the deaf parents? The parents were deaf, and the kid
Could hear.
I
vaguely
and
remember
she had to do
that.
the side. Yo, that movie was fire.
Did you cry?
I felt something.
It was like I feel a little twinge. Should I cry?
I feel a little something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, come on. Okay, what's happening? Let's go. No, this is literally what's going on. I'm like, ooh, I feel it. It's happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't cry.
It's okay. Keep living.
I'm 37.
Bro, I didn't cry when I was young. When I was your age, wasn't no crying. I was hustling.
You still had some sort of emotional.
I had emotions, but not like.
I don't got that, man.
It's coming. I'm 54. I just drop it. I can cry now. Bro, I did a keynote and cry.
Really?
And was good. It's just maturity. I don't know. That's not the right word. Just keep living and allow yourself to connect with you as you grow and develop.
I want to.
Yeah, and remember, it's no right or wrong. It's just about being. So it's an area in your life. It's the soulful area. It's connecting with the inner you. It's the heart work.
Yes.
Just allow yourself to.
What does that work look like?
You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Bro, you don't know what this. You may have a vision on how you want. All right. How old are you?
37.
Okay. You have a vision of what you want 47 to look like.
Yes.
Good. And are you preparing for that now?
Yes.
And there are certain aspects of that you can control.
Yes.
But there are other aspects that you can't control.
Out of my control.
So as you're preparing for 47 at 37, all you can do is what you can do. When life happens, life will show you something different, and it will either keep you on course. It could change the vision. You have to allow some wiggle room. Yeah. And that's one of the greatest things for me in this season is I hate flying for one reason. I don't like not having control. I got control issues. So in the plane, when that joint shake, I can't fathom the concept of, what you mean it's a bump? We ain't on no road. It ain't no street. We in the air. It ain't no bump. Turbulence, it ain't right.
I ain't never thought about it. Yeah, you gonna mess me up on a plane, bro. I never thought about
the joint shake a little bit, and the dude will come on and be like, oh, we've got a bump in the road down. Which we ain't on no road. We in the air. It shouldn't be no bumps. But I can't, for me, it's a control thing, because if that joint starts to dip, I can't control it.
And I decided to become a financial counselor. So I worked in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, as a financial counselor at Millbrook Houses. So just to paint a picture, the South Bronx, or where I worked, was the one of the poorest congressional districts in the United States. In the United States, food desert. The income was very low, and so I decided to go there. And I wanted to teach people about wealth, right?
So what is it that you teach about wealth in that environment?
Man,
because it's not as easy as, you get your account, you take 10% of your money. It's not that easy, right? Because you're not familiar with that language.
Honestly, that's what made me realize this principle I'm telling you, that if you want wealth, don't focus on poverty, right? Because at that time, I had some things, right? So I'm driving an ML 350, right? Mercedes-Benz every day, going to Millbrook, thinking, right? I want to display to them. I want to show them, right? And I'm from the hood, so I'm not nervous about pulling up in the Benz in the hood. But the problem was I was soaking up all of that energy every single day. I was soaking up that poverty energy. To be honest, 100% frank, because I'm trying to convince people who really, they can't see it, right? They're not around wealthy people. They haven't seen what I've seen. Yeah. And so I'm trying to convince them with them, right? I'm there with them trying to convince them that there's another way. And they're looking at me like, nah, fam, you here. I don't care what you drive, you here with us.
Right.
You working a job. And so at that point, I realized, you know what? All right, now you got to practice what you know. Not what you preaching, practice what you know. I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So I got rich and gave back. To me, that's the win-win. When Hov said that line, at one point, I didn't really understand it. I was like, yo, what are you talking about? You can't help the poor, right? But nah, people respect what you do, not what you say. Yeah. The reason why the dude, and all due respect to the dude who got, who had many years in jail, come home, and he's like, youngin', you got to get your stuff together. Nobody, young boys not listening to him. Nah. They like, fam, what you here with us? What you talking about?
It sounds good to you saying it because you know it's real.
Absolutely.
But to them, it's hitting their head, not going inside,
right?
Because they can't get past what they see.
Exactly. And so what happens though when you become rich? What happens when Ash Cash becomes rich? Yeah. When Ash Cash pull up into 2020?
Yeah.
Yo, in this season, I don't even gotta say, they're gonna look at you and know.
Yeah. That's why the Doughboys are so influential.
Absolutely.
Because they like, yo, you can get money. And they see the dope boy with the money.
Right.
He's like, yo, hold on, you got these girls, you got the chain, you got the money.
Right.
Give me a pack.
Exactly. And so that's why, and that's the other thing that I'm loving about this movement, Black entrepreneurs, people showing, listen, oh my God. It's a beautiful sight, because now I ain't gonna tell you get off the block and not give you away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna say, yo, what I'm doing over here 100% legal. And I'm adding massive value to people's lives. Massive value. Right? I got a mastermind group. One of my participants told me she made $10,000 in a week. You know what I'm saying? Massive value. But how is that? Because I'm showing them too. I'm saying, yo, I did 5 figures this week. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, listen, look what I'm out here doing. I'm not preaching to you. Yeah. Right? I'm not preaching. I'm not the preacher who's telling you everything's going to be all right. I'm going to say, nah, this is how you do it. And I'm going to lay down a blueprint for you.
Yeah.
And so working there made me realize, like, nah, Ash, if you want to change the community, you have to be a demonstration. That's how you change the community, period.
Yes, 100%.
You got to be a demonstration. You know how many people that know me from hanging out on the block see my success and be like, yo, Ash Cash, yo, you such an inspiration. I don't talk to you often. I don't tell you this often, but thank you so much for everything that you do, because I know where you come from. And if you're able to do it, I'm able to do it too.
Yeah.
It's a demonstration. Imagine if I was still on the block with them, preaching every day, like, yo, it's a better way. Nah, you got to be a demonstration.
So what was your first step into demonstrating?
Yeah, I mean, my first step was, number one, making sure that my family and I never had to worry about where we're going to live.
And you just wound up leaving that job.
Yeah, I wound up leaving that job, but once I left that job, I already had, properties, right? And so those properties, we had tenants, my wife and I, and so we were able to, so the money was coming in. Whether I worked or not, I knew I was good. And so now with that level of cushion, that level of lack of stress, I don't have to think about the basic necessities. When you think about the Maslow hierarchy of needs, a lot of people can't think about wealth and abundance if they're trying to figure out how they feed their kids, where they're gonna live. So with that basic necessity taken care of, now it's about, all right, how do I take my skills that I have through all these years of working, how can I serve people? Right? And let me tell you why that's important. There are too many people out here chasing a bag. And when you chase a bag, the bag's going to run from you.
All the time.
What you need to do is chase people. Who are you? What skills do you have? What problem do you solve? And if you can solve that problem, the more people you solve that problem for, the more money you will make.
Easy.
And so for me, I said, I want to financially empower people. And so I started doing that through speaking engagements. But I'm like, man, I can't empower enough people. All right, so let me write more books. Let me do more courses. Let me be on radio. Let me spread my word to more people. And as I was helping people fix their credit, I was helping people get life insurance, I was helping people create estates and trusts and understand those complexities. As I was helping more and more people do that, my bank account kept growing and growing and growing, to the point where now, a lot of my, I just came from Haiti with the family, right? And I made money while I was away.
Right. Beautiful, lady.
Beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Like, not one time was I worried or was I thinking about, you know, how bills are gonna get paid. None of that, right? And that's why we call it mailbox money. Right, that money's in the mailbox. It come automatic, and what happens is that if you have the right systems in place, because it's all about systems. If you have the right systems in place, that system is working for you, and you don't have to work for it. And so it's really, you know, and that's what I do every single day. Every single day I'm helping people. Every single day I'm over delivering. Oh, every single day I'm helping people, you know, get past their limitations and understand that abundance is their birthright. And I'm not just I'm giving you the blueprint. I'm giving you the motivation, but I'm also giving you the tools. I'm telling you how to set up your life insurance. I'm telling you how to set up your business. I'm telling you how to do all these things, because once you do these things, you're gonna be able to reap the benefits. But not just do these things because you're after the money. Do these things because you're after serving people.
Yeah.
If you like the video that you just watched, click this one. You're going to like this one, maybe even more. Click it right now.